All right, so you're ready to take your kayaking game to the next level, huh? Trading those calm waters for the thrill of some real rapids.
That's awesome.
Well, today we're going deep on Class 3 rapids, that sweet spot where the challenge gets exciting. We've got a ton of research and personal experience to share to help you navigate those thrilling waters.
Yeah, and it's not just about paddling technique. We'll also help you learn how to read the river, almost like a map. Anticipate those moves before they happen.
Okay, I love that. A river map. So we've got the international scale of river difficulty, Class I through 6. And we're aiming for that Class I to 3 range. But, even within those classes, a rapid can change depending on, well, something we check before any outdoor adventure, the weather.
Oh, absolutely. The same rapid can feel totally different depending on the water level.
Hmm.
Like, what might be a fun Class 2 on a sunny day could become a crazy Class 3 after a storm.
Yeah, like Mother Nature just cranked up the difficulty.
Exactly.
So checking those forecasts and river levels, not just a suggestion, that's like step one. And speaking of prepping, let's talk about the gear that'll be your best friend out there.
Yeah, safety gear isn't just about checking boxes. It's about being ready for anything. Like one time, I almost launched on this multi-day trip with a tiny crack in my kayak hull. Just a quick 5-minute check saved me from what could have been a total disaster out on the river.
See, that's why we love having you here, those little nuggets of wisdom.
Oh,
So a PFD that fits right, a helmet designed for kayaking, non-negotiable. But beyond the gear, what's one safety tip beginners often miss?
I'd say never paddle alone. Having a buddy isn't just about sharing the fun. It's about having someone there if something goes wrong. Like, two heads are better than one, especially when one might be upside down in a rapid.
Huh. It's like having your own personal river rescue squad.
Right there with you.
Speaking of rescue, what are some emergency must-haves we should always have?
Always have a whistle to signal for help, a river knife to cut free if you get tangled, and a throw rope for rescues. But, gear's only as good as the person using it.
Right.
Practice those rescue techniques in calm water first, so when the pressure's on, it's like second nature.
Great point, muscle memory. Okay, so we've got our safety checklist, our crew, the river's calling, but before we even get in the water, how do we start reading this river map we're talking about?
Well, you got to become a river detective. Before you launch, take a minute to scout the rapids from shore. Look for those V formations downstream. They'll often point you to the smoother path, like a welcome sign in all the chaos.
Ooh, I like that, following the V signs.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard about using eddies to your advantage. What's the secret there?
You'll see experienced kayakers using eddies not just to rest, but to set up their next move. It's like chess on the water,
Oh, interesting.
using those calm spots to plan your attack. Eddies are your friends.
So eddies aren't just about catching your breath, they're like power-up spots in a video game.
Exactly. But here's where things get tricky. We have to talk about waves and holes. Waves can be fun, like nature's roller coaster.
Yeah.
But those holes, those are the ones to really watch out for.
Okay, so how do I spot a hole before it spots me? And what should I be feeling as I approach one?
Well, instead of a cresting wave, a hole will often have that smooth, glassy surface with a dip in the middle. You'll feel it too. A sudden pull as you enter, your kayak might even stop. That's when you got to react fast.
So it's like the river's playing a trick on you, that calm surface, then bam, you get pulled in. That's a
Yeah.
great visual.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've scouted, found our V signs, located the eddies, ready to tackle those waves and carefully navigate around the holes. But how do we actually move through this watery maze? What do we focus on first?
Before anything else, it all starts with your stance in the kayak. Proper posture isn't just about comfort, it's about control and power. Imagine you're about to spring into action, sit upright, lean forward slightly, engage that core. That's your power source.
So strong core is our secret weapon.
You got it. And don't forget those knees. Keep them firm against the kayak sides. For stability, that's your connection to the boat, feeling every move.
Okay, I'm already feeling more powerful just picturing that.
That's what it.
But all that core strength won't get us far without those paddle strokes. What are the absolute essentials for navigating Class I3 rapids?
So the forward stroke is your engine, propelling you forward. Use your torso for each pull, not just your arms. And then the draw stroke is your steering wheel, helping you maneuver around obstacles or, like we said, into those eddies. Master these two and you're good for most Class I3 situations.
Got it. Forward for power, draw stroke for precision. Now, I've heard never lean downstream in a rapid, Ray? True, or is it more nuanced than that?
It's definitely more nuanced. While leaning downstream can sometimes help you ride over a wave, it can also make you flip if you're not careful. It's all about reading the situation. A good rule of thumb, when in doubt, lean upstream. That's usually more stable.
Makes sense. So leaning upstream is our default. Leaning downstream is a move we save for when we're more experienced. Speaking of moves, what about bracing? I've heard it described as like doing push-ups against the water.
That's a great way to put it. Bracing is your safety net when you start to tip. Imagine using your paddle to push against the water, regaining your balance. The low brace and the high brace are your go-tos. Mastering them can prevent a lot of swims.
Okay, that sounds way more fun than actual push-ups.
Huh.
But
Okay.
let's be real, even with perfect technique, sometimes we go for a swim. So
Yes.
what's the first thing we should do if we find ourselves upside down?
Stay calm, first thing. Even Olympic kayakers capsize. It happens. If you're wearing a spray skirt, remember to pull that loop and push yourself out. It's called a wet exit. Fastest way to get out of a flip kayak.
Wet exit. Got it.
Yep.
Now, I know there's that Eskimo roll, but that sounds a little advanced for now.
Yeah, the Eskimo roll takes practice and instruction. For now, focus on that wet exit. Once you're out, most important thing to remember.
Besides not panicking, I'd say holding on to that paddle. It's our lifeline out there.
You got it. That paddle is key in a capsize. Helps you stay afloat, signal for help, and here's a critical tip. Swing with your feet up so you don't get trapped on the riverbed.
Oh, wow. Good point. Never thought about that. So paddle in hand, feet up, head for the nearest eddy or shore.
Exactly.
Now, I know you've got a ton of kayaking stories. Any that really drove home that safety over gear lesson for you?
Oh, yeah. There's this one. I was paddling a really challenging section, and my kayak got pinned against a rock. My first thought was to try and free it, but the current was just too strong. Had to make a tough call, let go of the gear, and get myself to safety. It was a real reminder. No piece of equipment is worth risking your well-being.
Absolutely. Your safety comes first. Always.
Always.
And speaking of respecting the river,
Yeah, we get to enjoy these incredible waterways, but we've got to protect them too. Leave no trace, pack out your trash, respect the wildlife, be mindful of others out there.
yeah, it's about enjoying the river responsibly and making sure it's there for everyone to enjoy. We've covered so much already, from those river classifications and reading the water to those essential paddling techniques and, of course, safety. What else can we do to be truly ready to tackle Class 3 rapids?
Well, that's where the real fun begins. We can dive into some more advanced maneuvers and talk about finding those perfect practice spots. And of course, we can't forget about the mental game, staying calm, focused, confident, even when things get wild.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. I'm ready to level up, but we'll have to save that for next time. We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into Class 3 rapids. Stay tuned.
Welcome back.
All right, so last time we covered the basics, getting ready for Class 3 rapids, but I'm ready to level up those skills. You mentioned more advanced maneuvers.
Right, yeah. So once you've got those foundational strokes, it becomes more about finesse.
Finesse, okay. I like the sound of that. What kind of moves are we talking here?
One that's often overlooked is edge control. It's about using those edges of your kayak to maneuver, maintain that stability. Think of it like skiing, where you use your edges to carve through the snow.
So we're not just paddling, we're using the whole kayak.
Exactly. By tilting or leaning the kayak, you change its direction, how it interacts with the water. When we make a sharp turn, lean into it, use that edge.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like the kayak becomes an extension of you.
Exactly. Now, are you ready for a move that's a little trickier?
Oh, bring it on. I'm feeling brave.
All right, let's talk about the pivot turn. This is how you quickly turn in a tight spot, like a narrow channel or those helpful eddies we talked about. Imagine planting your paddle behind you and using it as a pivot point while swinging the bow of the kayak around.
Pivot turns, those sound like they take some serious coordination. Is that even something a beginner should try in a Class 3?
It's definitely better to practice those in calmer water first. But once you get it, it's a great tool when you need to adjust quickly.
Okay, adding that to my list of skills to master.
Yeah.
But even with all the practice, there's still that jump from calm water to a real Class 3. How do we bridge that gap?
That's where guided tours and skill workshops can be so helpful. They're like having a kayaking mentor guiding you.
You mean like the ones offered by the Motor City Paddle Club? I've heard good things.
Yeah, exactly. Guided tours let you experience the rapids with pros who can show you the ropes, help you read the river. It's like having a personal coach right there with you.
That sounds awesome. And what about those skill workshops? What do they focus on?
They zero in on specific techniques like bracing, rolling, even river rescue. It's a safe space to really push yourself and refine your skills.
So it's like taking those training wheels off, but having a spotter there just in case.
Exactly. And don't forget your local outfitters. They're a wealth of knowledge about the local rivers. They can give gear recommendations. They're usually connected to the whole paddling community.
Like a one-stop shop for all things kayaking. So much good advice. We've been focusing on the technical stuff. But I'm curious, for you, what's the most rewarding part of kayaking? What keeps you coming back?
For me, it's that feeling of being completely immersed in nature. The sound of the water, the wind, the sun. It's a chance to disconnect from everything else.
I love that. It's not just physical, it's mental and emotional too.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Kayaking demands focus, coordination, problem solving. It's a workout for your mind and body, and that feeling when you navigate a tough rapid. Incredible.
And there's the social side too, sharing those experiences.
For sure. Kayaking really offers something for everyone. It's a community, a passion.
Well said. So now that you've got the basics and you're thinking about those class 3 rapids, what type of rapid gets you the most excited? The S-turn, maybe? Or the Devil's Staircase?
Oh, man, tough choices. They both have their own unique challenges and rewards. It's like choosing your own adventure.
That's the beauty of it. There's always something new to discover.
Right. And remember, no matter what type of kayaking you do, those core principles we talked about, safety, skill, respecting the environment, that sense of adventure, those are always there to guide you.
And don't forget to have fun. I mean, who doesn't love that feeling of just gliding through the water?
It's a feeling of freedom.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've paddled our way to the end of our deep dive into Class 3 rapids.
We've covered a lot today, from understanding those river classifications and reading the water to mastering those paddling techniques and emphasizing the importance of safety and environmental stewardship. We hope you got some valuable insights to help you on your kayaking adventures.
So whether you're a seasoned paddler or just starting out, remember the river is calling. Listen to it, respect its power, and embrace the experience. So until next time, happy paddling.
It's amazing how much ground we've covered. It feels like we've only just dipped our toes in.
Yeah, kayaking has so many layers, which you've talked about, Class 3 rapids, it's just one part of the story. Exactly. I mean, we didn't even get to see kayaking or expeditions or even kayak fishing. There's a whole world out there.
And each one has its own challenges and rewards. But wherever you go with it, those things we talked about, safety, skills, respecting the environment, that sense of adventure, those always be important.
It's like a good foundation to build on as you explore. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Class 3 rapids, what's one last piece of advice for our listeners who are ready to get out there?
I'd say never stop learning, keep exploring. Embrace those challenges, find those experienced paddlers, and never be afraid to push your boundaries, safely, of course.
Love that. And the journey is just as important as the destination, right?
Yeah.
Savor those moments, connect with nature, enjoy the ride. Well, folks, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of Class 3 rapids. We've covered a lot of ground, those river classifications, reading the water, essential techniques, safety, respecting the environment. Hopefully you've got some great takeaways to get out there and tackle those rapids yourself. So whether you're a seasoned paddler or just starting out, remember that river's calling. Listen to it, respect its power, and embrace the experience. Until next time, happy paddling.